Hello YouTube, I'm back with the next BattleBots review, and today I have the BattleBots Beyond the BattleBox review. This is kind of the best I can do, because obviously I can't show footage or this video would get taken down at some point. This is the little game chip that you can get. If you have BattleBots Design and Destroy, it's exactly the same. The only difference was it's a different name. Literally, and a little bit on the cover. Cover's different. That's just so they get you to buy it again before they stopped, they didn't get the game for GameCube, I think it was, or PlayStation 2, somewhere in there. Which I'm going to go into a little bit as well, what my thoughts are on that. But this game here, really, I think it really captures the show's overall feel. You get to design your own robot. You get to fight with actual robots from the show, 16 in all total, 4 from each weight class. Get all the main hazards in there, at least up until it has I think it's sort of a mixture between Season 3 and Season 4, because, I mean, the ramrods are there, the spinners are there, the pulverizers are there, the kill saws are there, the screws are there. They don't have the pistons, they don't have hellraisers, but they do have little bonuses you can get along the way, because as you're fighting, you can choose, every once in a while, little icons will pop up that'll either increase your speed, you'll get a little bit more batter juice back, you'll get some armor back, things like that. But it's a good deal of fun. I mean, I've had a great deal of fun playing the games. It's nice to see some of my favorite bots, like Hazard. This is the only time Hazard has ever put in any of the merchandise as a whole. A lot of the robots are exactly like the show. I would have to say a couple of them are not. If you're going to play this game, do not choose Dead Blow, Overkill. Yeah, mostly Dead Blow and Overkill are the only two ones that are really... Oh, Ziggo as well. 3 of the worst. You wouldn't think Ziggo would be all that weak. It is, trust me. And it's kind of sad that it's the last one on the list. It's one of the easiest to beat. In fact, Backlash is probably harder to beat than that. I mean, granted, Backlash is the lightweight champion, but so is Ziggo, and you'd expect to give him a little bit more than that. Dead Blow was a finalist, but his weapon does absolutely nothing. It's based on the Season 3.0 design with the hammer/flipper, which may be playing a little bit into that, but there is no way to really damage it. I barely managed to win a fight using that robot. That's how sad it was. It was on... Which kind of brings up the other thing that's kind of nice, is that as your robot is damaged, you'll see them like smoking and catching fire and eventually stop moving. It's always exactly the same. So it's not like it's a different reason for each one. I'm sure it's exactly the same for regardless of whether your bot is it's just so heavily damaged that its electronics short out and catch fire. I mean, it's pretty cool. It actually slows down your bot. Your bot will actually get slower as it goes. It won't lose wheels or anything like that. But it will actually catch fire, start running around much more slowly. And eventually you'll get the count out. But you don't have to worry about a referee. Your bot will just get counted out, and there's no way to restart it. So once you get counted out, you're finished. What's also nice is that, of course, like I said, you get to build your own robot. You got to be careful, though, because you can spin your way into a deep hole that you can't get your way out of. You kind of have to start it small. I mean, you're only given, like, I don't know, $1,000, $1,200, maybe even less than that, to actually put your robot together, and you start in the lightweight division, obviously. So you kind of want to go with the light armor, because then you can replace it easily. Because when you go with stuff like titanium, yeah, granted, it's not going to do damage easily, but when it is damaged, you really have to spend a fortune to pay for it. I mean, as you go up in the weight classes, you'll actually find you have not only more choices, but you'll have a lot more. Also, by then, you'll generally have more money to work with, too. And it's also really nice. You get little sponsorships in there. So you get things like a free battery, free motor, something like that. But I would also avoid choosing a flipper, or if you're going to use it sparingly, because the flipper will eventually break and you will not have a weapon. It's kind of unfortunate, but I've already found that out the hard way playing the game myself. But there's some pretty awesome designs in there. You don't just get the BattleBox as well. You get all sorts of different arenas. Kind of has the name suggests, BattleBots Beyond the BattleBox. You get a volcano, where you've got a little sort of spinning disc in the center. Little, I don't know what you call them. They're sort of like little cameras. They have little, I don't know. They fire stuff at you and you go at them. Like sort of like projectiles or something. It's hard to tell what they are because you don't see them very often. There are little, I think there are little flame jets around the edges as well. What's kind of unfortunate is that in the actual battle box, when you face off there, you know, some of the hazards are really difficult. You can't get all the way around. You can't maneuver entirely around the battle box because there's certain areas where the spinner and the ramrods are. They're pretty close together, mind you. You cannot go past them. It's physically impossible. You will try your hardest. You didn't go anywhere. You're kind of just wasting time, really. That kind of also brings up, you can also set the usual 3 minutes. You can go for 2 minutes. 2 minutes, I think, is maybe the default. You can also go for an unlimited time. You go until basically everyone, till everyone else is dead. That could probably not recommended, though. Unless you really have a lot of time to kill and you've got a boatload of energy to use up. I probably would not recommend that. There are also some pretty nice designs you can go for. I mean, obviously you've got a flipper, you've got different axe weapons, you've got a spinning shell robot. I think all of them, you have a basic chassis. That's probably the one I always start with. And spin bots are also harder to control. You do not have the option to put any kind of indicator on your robot. You will have to go with it as it is. You've also got the airplane graveyard, which is probably one of my favorites. It's got a airplane jet engine turbine on it that'll drag. If you're in it, you will get sucked in there, spun around a couple times, and thrown out somewhere else to get flipped over. And what's really nice is that regardless of whether your robot can actually self-right or not, it gets the ability to self-right. You have to kind of wait a couple seconds, unfortunately, but your opponent will typically wait like several seconds, like 4 to 5 seconds, and that's a good time to throw them under the pulverizer or the kill saws, or just start pounding on them with your own weapons. That's pretty cool. I mean, I do like this game. It was a lot of fun. I mean, you get bots that, that didn't get really any of the merchandise. I mean, Deblo got a lot. So, I mean, you kind of expect him to have merchandise. Ziggo got a little bit. Mouser even got a mini bot, and that was the only thing it got. But it gets included in this game. It's a pretty decent robot in terms of that. You also got Sunshine Lollybot. Most builders, most fans probably would not remember Sunshine Lollybot. A big old saw blade. Pretty much that was it. It was a big old saw blade, a bunch of exposed electronics, and it was lost to T-. I guess that counts for a little bit. It did make it to TV. It was also seen, I think, in one of the advertisements for beating Alphabet Battle and Slammer in a single hit, but that was kind of luck. Didn't get that same luck anywhere else. But yeah, this is an awesome game. And you also got the, I forgot what they call it, like a recycling plant. Oh, let me go back to the airplane graveyard first. You got, I don't know, did I get everything? Yeah, there's a magnet that kind of goes around, so if you get stuck underneath it, you'll get dragged over, and you'll probably get dragged. There's a little pit there, too. There's little jaws, if you will. So if you get into it, you're going to be chomped up a bit and thrown back in your own square. That's where all the bots go. That's also where in some of the other arenas, you'll get thrown back over there. That's where you end up. You get dumped right at your starting square. Whenever you can escape those, though. You kind of really have to work at it, but things like find out which direction the magnet is pulling you and go in the opposite direction. You can also use it to, run across the pit. It'll actually, the motions that it does will actually throw you on the other side. You'll probably end up upside down and maybe damaged a little bit, but it's kind of sort of fun. And eventually, if you're lucky enough, the jet engine turbine on the side there will eventually break apart. It's pretty awesome to see that. There are a couple glitches in the game. Things like, if you start in the battle box, you may see a pulverizer missing or the screws missing. I know I've had at least one of those started. You can pause the game, which is really nice, especially if you're pressed for time or whatever. If you're going to be gone a long time, make sure your game console is actually in the charger. You hate to have it run out of battery when you're in the middle of a critical fight. But some of the bots are basically impossible to beat without adding the snot out of them. Namely, Biohazard and Dissector, for the most part. They will constantly self-right. They do not ever, even Biohazard, which you never could self-right in the show with the anti-wedge skirts. Yes, it has the anti-wedge skirts. You cannot flip it. Every time you flip it, you'll see the animation where it flips back over, basically. It's hard to say what they're trying to aim for here. Now, maybe they thought Biohazard was just too powerful in the show, and they wanted to kind of tone it down so even beginners could beat it. But still, it's a difficult bot to beat, even in this game. It's very powerful. If you're playing against them, you probably have a little bit better chance because they usually do not keep the weapon going. So like if you're playing Hazard, they'll only spin the weapon when they're actually making contact with your robot. For me, I would recommend if you have a spinning weapon, keep it going the entire time. The last thing you want to do is rely on your own reaction time. but it means if you play as Dissector or Biohazard, you've got a pretty good shot at winning. But make sure you're moving, because if you're not moving, even if your bot is physically fine, and you're not paying attention, you will lose. They will count you out. But it's an awesome game. I definitely recommend it. There's also the oil rig, which is as you might expect, you're playing on an oil rig. You got little drop-offs there. If you go over the edge, you'll get dropped off, and then you get back in your starting square. The little drills that come out, they will drop from the ceiling and hit a designated spot. Also, little flamethrowers. Also, I think a lot of these have some of the same hazards from the show. The oil rig does, as I recall, it's got the kill saw, it's got spike strips. It's a little bit of a hybrid. Yeah, I think the other one I was talking about was the recycling plant, which is very darkly lit. It's got little, I don't really know what to call them. The little spears. They will, oh no, yeah, there are little, they're little saw blades, similar, like if you remember SLB from Season 5, it's got a long saw arm and it'll come down. That's sort of what you get a little bit here. You got little conveyor belts, there's some sort of liquid in the center, and there's like 5 conveyor belts that come in there. That's probably a good way. If your opponent's flipped over, put them on one of those, and they'll just go right into there, and they'll end up on the starting square. They may be upright eventually, or not. Which is also nice that for playing the game in tournament mode, which is the mode where you end up fighting in the lightweights, the middleweights, heavyweights, and super heavyweights, and you get money every time you beat a bot. So something like Toe Crusher, you get $100. You can usually get a sponsorship. And that's one thing in the show you don't get, is you don't get automatic sponsors in the show. You don't get money automatically, which would kind of be nice. That's what makes this game a little bit more unique. And I felt like there was something else I wanted to say regarding tournament mode. Oh, and of course, if you're fighting in a rumble with 4 bots, it all comes down to the 45-point system. That's what the entire fights come down to. So it'll be 27-18, 45-0. Probably, I don't think I've ever seen that before. But even in a rumble, they actually have a judge's decision. If it comes down to a judge's decision, all 3 bots will add up to 45 points in total. It's kind of unusual. But okay, I guess that makes it a little more interesting. Let's see, who else is in here? Some of the bots, I mean, Toe Crusher is pretty good. It's better than Overkill in terms of being able to deal damage. It's a little bit hard to control. It does have the torque. Both robots do have the torque reaction weapon. So as you move the bot forward, it'll go back. You move backward, it goes forward. I mean, Hazard's in this. Let's see, Complete Control is in this. The bots' names are sometimes shortened. Even El Diablo Grande makes it into this show. I mean, pretty decent. I think his lifting arm works. The drum spins. I think super heavyweights. Got Minion, Toro, got Dissector, obviously, as I said. Let's see who else is in here. Jaws of Death. You can believe that. Jaws of Death is in there. Yes, the big old jaw bot. I think built by the same people that built Kiloamp. Ended up building this bot. It was Team Boiler Bots, I think as they called themselves back in the day. Let's see, in lightweights, got obviously Backlash, Ziggo, Toe Crusher, and Mouser Mecha Catbot. Middleweights, obviously, got Dead Blow. Let's see, Dead Blow, Sunshine Lollybot, Complete Control, and Hazard. So, I mean, it's nice to see bots that actually did well make it to the tournament, although I think most of it was kind of based on their previous records. So even if they didn't do well in later seasons, especially when the season came out, I think a lot of the bots did not do well. Namely, Complete Control and Deblo did not do very well in their competitions by the time. I think this was season 3.0 was airing at the time this came out. This is, or was it 4.0? I don't remember. But either way, I guess that, yeah. Deblo, we know it didn't do well. It didn't even make it to TV at the time. Sunshine Lollybot didn't either. But I would definitely recommend this. I mean, there's no actual intros from the show. There's no music from the show, but you get 16 bots to choose from. You can build your own bots. Kind of get an idea of what you need if you're going to build an actual bot. And I would say it's quite accurate in terms of building an actual robot. So if you want to build an actual robot, you may be able to use the game to help you. Although, obviously, books and stuff like that are going to help you out as well. But definitely, if you're a fan of the show like I am, I was hooked on this when I first got it. It was awesome. I was disappointed that Design and Destroy is exactly the same game. Trust me, it is. I spent 5 minutes playing it when I got it and realized it was the same game, down to the last detail. The only thing they did was change it to Design and Destroy. That's it. And adjust the graphic on the front. Overkill's on the front in the original. don't know what robot is on it on the front. In the Design and Destroy, I think it's probably one of the chassis from when you're building your own bot. But I would definitely recommend it. Definitely take some time to get used to how the game works. I probably would not get into building a bot yet until you're sure. But do note that as you're building a bot, you may end up actually spending your way into a hole, as I said before. Because even if you remove stuff, and make sure you think about what you put on your robot before you go into it. Because I think for some instances, you will lose money even if you take it away and put a new object on. I know I've had a couple chances with that. Definitely there's plywood. I would go with that because that's easy to replace. And it's inexpensive. I mean, it'll also save you weight. I mean, the weight classes are factored into this as well. So you also get to see, what the strengths and weaknesses of each of the chassis are, each of the weapons are, the little gauges on there, and that'll show your health, your bot's health as well. Pretty cool. I mean, you also get to, like if you're fighting with the robots in the show, you also get to, go with simulation mode, which means they'll fight as they were in the show. So bots that can't self-right, except for your ones you build, obviously. Or you can make it so every bot can self-right, even if they can't self-right in the show, which is kind of cool. That means you can play as Backlash, and go against the Flipper, and you can see, okay, how would Backlash do against the Flipper if it could self-right continuously? Pretty awesome. I would recommend this. Or Design and Destroy, just so you know, they're the same game, so don't worry about, oh, is this the same game as the game we just, Master Merrick just reviewed? Yes, it is. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. Don't worry about the name or anything. I'd recommend it. 16 bots in all, lots to choose from, lots of fun to be had. So, if you can go find it, go get it. It's a lot of fun. And there are videos online. I think some people have actually played the game, at least to some extent. So if you really want to see how the game looks when you play it, go watch them. They're definitely what you get in the game. It's exactly what you're playing. It's a lot of fun. So that's my review on the BattleBots Beyond the BattleBox / BattleBots Design and Destroy Game Boy Advance game. Thanks for watching.